Welcome to Dope Bets.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning.
Please subscribe and like this video for more CFL and other sports betting picks. I know a lot of you miss the NFL and college football right now, but at least you can watch and bet on Canadian football in the meantime. I personally like betting on CFL football because it's always exciting with evenly matched competition. With that being said, we'll be going over this week's Canadian football games that are scheduled for this weekend, CFL Week 9. But first,
hold up, wait a minute.
Let's get a quick recap of the previous week's CFL action from Week 8. The first game of the weekend was between the Montreal Alouettes and the Calgary Stampeders. I had said that the Stampeders would win this game against the Alouettes and their backup quarterback, but they actually ended up losing a close game on a last-second field goal.
Come on now, dawg.
This only confirms what I had mentioned in the last video. Super big favorites tend to let us down sometimes.
And the kick is blocked!
Montreal's backup quarterback, McLeod Bethel Thompson, completed 75% of his passes and threw for 280 yards and a single touchdown. Receiver Tyler Snead caught 7 passes for 103 yards. For Calgary, running back Dedrick Mills rushed for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. threw for 193 yards and a touchdown, but had to leave the game early due to injury and did not return as backup PJ Walker finished the game in his place. Walker finished the game with 3 out of 7 pass attempts completed and only 20 yards passing. The second game of CFL Week 8 was between the Edmonton Elks and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I knew this was going to be a tough game for the Elks against a superior opponent, which is why I had chosen to cover the spread of plus 10.5 points, and they did just that. With the Elks making a change at the quarterback position for this game, they seemed to be a little bit more productive. They were down by 17 points in the fourth quarter, but behind quarterback Cody Fajardo, the Elks almost completed a full comeback, but ended up losing by 3 points, a score of 21-18. Fajardo played with a sense of urgency and efficiency as he completed 26 of 33 passes and threw for over 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Rough Riders, quarterback Trevor Harris handled business as usual. He completed 25 of 33 passes and had over 260 passing yards. Just another day in the office for him. The Rough Riders defense was all over the Elks quarterback as they accumulated 8 sacks. It's like they were going against the scout team O-line. The third game of CFL Week 8 was a match between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. The Blue Bombers have been favored heavily by the sportsbooks, but honestly, I wasn't buying it. I almost kind of knew that the Argos would come into this game fired up on defense and take care of business at home, and they did exactly that. Perfect. Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle played like his hair was on fire as he threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver DeMonte Coxie matched that energy as he grabbed 6 passes for 145 yards and a touchdown. The Argos defense baited the opposing quarterback into throwing 2 interceptions. They also got to the quarterback once for a sack as well. For the Blue Bombers, the injury bug seems to continue to affect them. This past week was literally a repeat of what happened in CFL Week 7. Quarterback Zach Collaros leaving the game due to injury after throwing 2 interceptions. I shit you not, the same exact process happened in CFL Week 7 when they played the Calgary Stampeders. Backup quarterback Chris Streveler came into the game and went 11 of 18 for 148 yards and a touchdown, but obviously that wasn't enough to overcome the Argos in CFL Week 8. Fourth game of CFL Week 8 was between the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the BC Lions. The last game of CFL Week 8 was a real treat as we got to see the Tiger Cats come back from a 10-point deficit with only 4 minutes left and ended up winning the game. This one had me on the edge of my seat as I had bet for Hamilton to win this game, but ended up winning the bet actually. Hamilton started out slow in the first half, but eventually got it together and made some much-needed defensive stops in the fourth quarter. Tiger Cats quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was playing on a different level as he completed 34 of 41 of his passes, with 389 yards and 3 touchdowns to go along with that. Wideout Keandre Smith had an amazing game as he caught 14 passes for 138 yards receiving. Hamilton has been excellent this season as they've now won 5 games in a row. On the other side, BC Lions quarterback Nathan Rourke wasn't so bad. He actually played a great game. He completed 20 of 27 of his passes for 289 yards, which was pretty solid. Teammate and running back James Butler had a solid game against his former team as he rushed for 115 yards on 16 carries, 2 of those being touchdowns. A pretty decent game, but he did end up fumbling the ball at a key time in the game, which led Hamilton to take the lead in this game late. Not pointing the finger though, losing is a team effort. So to recap CFL Week 8, we ended up going 3-1 this weekend. We lost our bet on the Calgary Stampeders to beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but ended up finishing the weekend with 3 straight winning bets as both the Tiger Cats and Argonauts each won against their opponents. And don't forget that we had the Elks cover too. In all, a pretty successful weekend in my book. After an action-packed CFL weekend, we have 4 exciting matchups to break down and make a moneyline pick for this upcoming CFL Week 9, so let's get it. First, we'll have the Calgary Stampeders at the Ottawa Redblacks Thursday night, July 30th. The Ottawa Redblacks are having a difficult season to say the least. They're sitting at an embarrassing 1-6 to start the season and have lost 4 games consecutively. Inconsistent play on both sides of the ball are the reasons for that. The Redblacks are coming off of a bye week though, and hopefully that'll give them a chance to refresh and finally make a competitive push to win. Quarterback Drew Brown had to leave the Redblacks last game due to a head injury he suffered from a brutal hit. He reportedly is getting well and was a full participant in practice. The Calgary Stampeders are coming off of a 2-point loss to the Montreal Alouettes and will be looking to bounce back here. They are currently having a great season and are 5-2 in the season. In their last game, quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. had to leave this game early as well due to an injury. This eventually led to his team losing without his leadership on the field. Reports are saying that he should be ready to start this week against the Redblacks. He's an absolute playmaker and is playing in MVP form this season. The Calgary Stampeders have just about the best defensive unit in the CFL, while the Ottawa Redblacks are just about the worst team in the league. Vernon Adams Jr. and the Stampeders would look to control this game early and put Ottawa away. However, I don't think it will be easy, honestly. After a loss last week, I believe Calgary is in a bit of a letdown spot and can lose again this week. The Redblacks are coming off of a bye week, so they'll be somewhat rested up. They should also have their quarterback one, Drew Brown, ready to play after suffering a concussion a few weeks ago. Ironically, the only win that Ottawa has this year was actually against the Stampeders. This should be a solid and exciting rematch this week. The CFL is pretty unpredictable, so I'll look for the Redblacks to get it done at home this week. For the second game of CFL Week 9, we'll have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the Toronto Argonauts, Friday night, August 1st. The Toronto Argonauts were on a downward spiral as they were only 1-5 before they had got a win last week against the Blue Bombers. The Argos have played competitively this season, but can't convert that into wins for some reason, often blowing leads as well. However, Toronto looked like a championship team last week as they made the Blue Bombers offense look silly. Quarterback Nick Arbuckle and wide receiver DeMonte Coxie were playing on another level and will look to continue that success this week. On the contrary, the Blue Bombers were one of the hottest teams earlier in the season. After starting out 3-0, they have recently lost 3 games in a row now actually. Starting quarterback Zach Collaros is ruled out for this game as he sustained an upper body injury last week. Tommy Streveler will be the starter for this week against the Argos. Currently, the Blue Bombers are starting to fade a little, and not having their starting quarterback will only make things worse for them this week against Toronto, who is actually somewhat decent on the defensive side of the ball. This game is actually a rematch of last week's game in which Toronto already spanked the Blue Bombers by a score of 31-17. I might be a fan, but given the circumstances for this game, I'll take Toronto to win this game as well in CFL Week 9. Once again, the books see something I don't and have the Argos as huge underdogs. I'll pick Toronto because we all know that big underdogs tend to let us down sometimes.
And the kick is blocked!
For the third game of CFL Week 9, we'll have the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Edmonton Elks Saturday, August 2nd. It's been a difficult franchise mode for the Elks this season as they come into this game at 1-5. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I think Cody Fajardo will be starting at quarterback once again. He did have over 300 yards passing against the Montreal Alouettes defense last week, even though he was sacked 8 times. So we'll have to see how he pans out this week as well. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have had an amazing start to this season. They're at 5-2 and are currently on a 5-game winning streak. Starting quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell has been playing absolutely lights out this season. And don't forget about wide receiver Kenny Lawler, who has been making consistent big plays week in and week out. The Ticats have been solid on defense as well, especially in the secondary. They're always seeming to make a play on the ball. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are having a magical season and are potential Grey Cup contenders, but my gut is telling me that this is a huge letdown spot for them this week. The lines are just looking way too good. I'll take the Elks to get the job done at home behind the quarterback Cody Fajardo. Let's see if they get it done. For the fourth game of CFL Week 9, we'll have Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Montreal Alouettes Saturday, August 2nd. This game is the second part of a doubleheader actually. Montreal currently sits at a pretty good 5-2 record. Their defense has been playing great and offenses are getting the ball into the end zone properly. They've had continued success with backup veteran quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson as he led the Alouettes to a comeback victory last week against the Calgary Stampeders. They are riding a 2-game winning streak, both of those games being decided by a total of 3 points. Saskatchewan suffered a minor hiccup against against the Stampeders a few weeks back, but the Rough Riders led by quarterback Trevor Harris have been an absolute machine this season. He's been a consistent 300-yard passer his entire career and doesn't look to slow down anytime soon. Last week they were up big against the Edmonton Elks, but ended up only winning the game by 3 points to a terrible Edmonton squad. I really think the books are expecting us all to go ahead and put the money on the Alouettes at plus 120-ish because it looks like a sweet deal. I don't think that'd be a smart move though.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, the Alouettes survived with their backup quarterback against Calgary and came out with a victory late, but Calgary was also without their own starting quarterback, as well as Vernon Adams Jr. went down with an injury in that game. I think this will be an exciting game in front of the Alouettes home crowd, but I think that Trevor Harris and wide receiver Samuel Emilus are about to come ready to play and lead the Rough Riders to victory. I'll take Saskatchewan on the road. That's all my CFL picks that I have for you for today, so let's get a quick recap of our picks for CFL Week 9. First, we're going to take the Ottawa Redblacks to beat the Calgary Stampeders. Crazy, I know, dude. Second, we're taking the Toronto Argonauts to spank up on the Blue Bombers for a second consecutive week. Third, we're taking another big underdog in the Edmonton Elks to get it done against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And lastly, we picked and expect the Saskatchewan Rough Riders to get the win against the Montreal Alouettes. Hopefully, we'll have another exciting week of CFL football and winning bets. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoy this type of content and comment below your CFL Week 9 picks. I'd love to hear them. Thanks again for tuning in this week to Dope Bets. Subscribe for more upcoming sports betting content.